Hello, men, and today's men's devotional falls on the day of Halloween. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about whether we should celebrate Halloween or not. I admit I struggle with this because as a dad, my kids want to go trick or treating and they want to dress up in their costumes. And when we do go into the neighborhood, I admit this is my only day of the year that I really have an opportunity to talk with some of my neighbors. There's a lot to celebrate about Halloween that seems to be good and appropriate. I love the kids' activities. I think the costumes are fun. And believe me, I love an extra piece of candy or two. But there does seem to be a darkness to Halloween, doesn't there? There's an evil undercurrent that seems to run through this day, and it seems to get that way more and more every year. There was an article that ran in the Wall Street Journal of all places today, and it is titled "Down with Halloween's Ironic Death Cult." In the article, the author points out that Halloween seems to get darker and darker every year. The yard ornaments appear on more and more people's yards with skeletons and evil spirits and all kinds of things that have these death and dark themes to them. And the article asks the question, how in the world can all this make sense just after the September 7th Hamas attack upon Israel and the slaughter of so many people? How can this now become a matter of American celebration? Those are good questions, and as I said, it's hard for me to know what we should think about Halloween. Perhaps it's celebrated so differently in different circles that it's gonna that what you are gonna feel like is appropriate for you and your family is gonna differ from what someone else feels like is appropriate for their family. You're going to have to go before the Lord and ask God what's right for me, what's right for my kids, and then trust the Lord with whatever He says to you. But even though I know that this is a difficult issue and a difficult holiday, I can say with 100% confidence that God is light and life. On a day in which there seems to be this celebration of death and darkness, we want to have no part in that. Death entered into the world because of sin, and we do not celebrate it, or we do not celebrate either sin or death. Jesus came to put to death both of those things when He died on the cross and rose from the dead. And so we celebrate Him and His victory. 1 John 1, 5 through 7 says, "This is the message we have heard from Him and declared to you. God is light, and in Him there is no darkness at all. If we claim to have fellowship with Him and yet walk in darkness, we lie and do not live out the truth. But if we walk in the light as He is in the light, we have fellowship with Him. We have fellowship with one another, and with the blood of Jesus, His Son, who purifies us from all sin." And so my challenge to you today, brothers, is walk in the light. Fill your hearts and your minds with the things of God and with His light and His truth and His life. Don't let any of the darkness or the ways of the world enter into your life. And not only walk in fellowship with Him, but walk in fellowship with one another, as this passage says. And so specifically, I'm going to challenge you today, for all of you who are dads, to bring the fellowship of life and light into your home. I'm going to challenge you to have a conversation with your kids on this day in which you remember the most eerie day in the history of the world, which was the day that the sun was darkened in the middle of the afternoon. The curtain in the temple was torn in two so that people could peer into the Holy of Holies. And the soldiers who gathered around the cross said to one another, "Surely this man was the Son of God." You see, obviously, we're talking about the day that Jesus died on the cross. That was a dark day. It was a day in which he died because of your sin. It was a day in which he died because of the sin of your kids. Remind him of that. But then as you talk about the death of Jesus on the cross, I would encourage you to also help them to know that this same Jesus 3 days later rose from the dead. And so that is what we celebrate every day. In fact, that's what we celebrate today on Halloween, that Jesus lives and he has conquered sin, death, and the devil. And with all of these themes that are around us, in which we maybe feel conflicted about, may we also at the same time set our hearts and our minds on Jesus and the life and the light that he has brought into this world and into our hearts and into our families. Yes, Halloween is a tricky one. and that's a play on words on purpose. Yes, pun intended. It's a tricky one on this day in which we go trick-or-treating. And on this day in which we our kids celebrate by dressing up in costumes and we pass out candy. But what we have no confusion about is that Jesus is the hope of this world. And so make sure you spend some time today with him and with your wife and with your kids and remind them of God's life and light and put Jesus first in your life today. So, brothers, no matter how you celebrate today or choose not to celebrate, that's between you and the Lord. My challenge for you today is to remember that Jesus has conquered sin, death, and the devil. And so we don't celebrate or honor anything along those lines. We celebrate the Lord. So may you honor God with your life today, and may you have a great day, and may you have a great week. And I can't wait to see you again on Sunday. God bless you. Have a great day. Bye.